Hello, we got some casual geographic today. I just noticed.
What?
This chair needs some WD-40. Why you get that nice chair, bro? I get this.
This is my house now.
Yeah, casual geographic. Looking at the thumbnail, bro.
Okay.
They got like a megalodon in the
Megalodon.
I'm very, like, I would say terrified of the ocean.
Oh, yeah, for
but
sure.
I'm very interested in it. Like, I really like learning a lot about it. The unspeakable horrors of the deep sea.
You got a feature on that motherfucker?
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so wait, is she gonna like spit her piece on the topic?
She probably knows a lot about ocean stuff.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Anyway, shout out to Casual Geographic.
Yeah.
Link to the original video down below. With that being said,
You've probably heard me say that I'd rather eat 10 pounds of Popeye's biscuits with no drink than ever go out into the ocean. Well,
nah.
I'd rather ride cross-country on a bike with a hot grill for a seat than spend half a second in the deep sea.
Yes.
There's a lot of
But
living night.
you remember that one video we saw? It was like, I'd rather throat a cactus than
Do
go in
something.
the ocean or...
Yeah. No, I'm not throwing.
I'm not doing
That's painful. Okay.
Yeah, we don't do that.
No.
Throw in the glizzy.
Spend half a second in the deep sea. There's a lot of living nightmares and paralysis demons come to life if you dig deep enough. And the megalodon is not one of them.
Oh, okay,
You'll
good.
often hear this thing about how the prehistoric apex predator never got discontinued. It's just chilling a step above hell in the abyss. This is cap. For actually three good reasons. One, there just isn't enough food to sustain a 60-foot you to the natural world.
So
Two, if nature did keep the same jumbo jaws that peaked in the Pliocene, we at least would have seen a body by now.
Probably.
And number three,
Oh, true.
why do y'all want this to be alive so bad? I promise you there's way worse things down there. Like, I would evacuate my bowels.
Yeah, bro,
if I saw a
because
kid
we've only explored 3%.
I don't even know, but I know like there's some crazy stuff down there.
And then the deeper we go, obviously there's pressure.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can't really go that deep.
For sure.
And yeah, there's just like wild stuff down there.
For sure.
So if the megalodon is not real, why they got all these like movies and structures talking about this is a megalodon tooth or something? Like, how do they?
What if it is real, but they don't want to tell you? You know what I'm saying? There's probably a lot of shit down there that they don't want to tell us.
Yeah.
Because we know. Who knows how we gonna react?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, bro.
They'll put me in front of a T-posing squid and I'm more bricks than the entire city of Newark. The big fin squid is easily one of the most disturbing things alive.
Oh my God. Actual aliens, bro.
Predator
Yeah.
with arms estimated to max out at just under 30 feet.
Oh my God.
Scientists believe the big fin catches bodies by dragging those arms, which can be easily 20 times its own body length, along the ocean floor like trawling nets and feeding on whatever poor soul
It's
accidentally
like a
bumps.
jellyfish.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear me say believe or we think a lot, and that's because we don't know a whole lot about them. Almost every sighting and virtually every specimen studied were either juveniles or paralarvae. We have no way of knowing exactly what the final form could look like.
Yeah.
For all we know, this could be Junior, and we just haven't seen Mama Big Fin yet. Who would have thought that just putting elbows on a squid would instantly turn it into the spawn of Satan? If you thought the Big Fin was just a slow, acid floating predator, then you're seriously underestimating the ocean's ability to massacre your mental health. And if you're curious, this video was taken about 7,000 feet down in the Gulf of Mexico.
God
Considering they're believed to be the deepest living squids at about 20,000 feet, I have a theory. This is a juvenile, and the big boys are the ones shacking it up down in the crotch of the ocean. The good news, the big fin probably only feeds on small fish and crustaceans. Bad news, there are squids big enough to beef with the biggest predators on the planet. And the biggest predator on the planet that isn't a disgraced former YouTuber
Some whales
is the
up.
sperm whale.
Yeah.
Which on its own
They
would have to
bust.
be one of the most traumatizing things to witness during their 2-hour hunting expeditions down in the deep sea.
Yeah.
Well, the tankiest carnivore on Earth regularly runs fades with the giant.
You see how that looks, right? Right there, it might look like a regular, like, okay, that's a
Regular
real
size.
big.
Nah.
But like, seeing it like that is like insanely huge, bro. Like if you put a human next to that, it's like
That video does not do no justice.
no justice at all, bro. What's that thing? Doesn't scale to size or?
I think
There's like a saying.
I know.
Well, the tankiest carnivore on Earth regularly runs fades with the giant squid. And by giant, we're talking about calamari growing to an estimated 40 feet long. Not only are they themselves predators that hunt using 20-foot tentacles, they're opportunistic cannibals that would 100% murk their entire family reunion for some
That looks like
calories.
a boss
Now,
monster.
nature high-key screwed up their character design. They have a donut-shaped brain and an esophagus running through it, meaning if they swallow something big enough, not only do they run the risk of choking to a flatline, they can also factory reset their entire personality through severe brain damage.
Damn.
This is why they mitigate this by shredding their victims with a razor-sharp beak and what is essentially a tongue with teeth, the radula. That beak is such a weapon that you'll rarely see a sperm whale that hasn't been tattooed during a struggle with a giant squid.
Oh,
and while
wow.
the plus-size cephalopod usually loses in a war with the whale, they do not make it easy. But the most disturbing thing about them is that eye. Giant squids have the most physically imposing eye in nature, with it being roughly the size of a soccer ball. Contrary to popular belief, huge eyes don't exactly help it see further, but it does mean they're terrifyingly good at noticing objects giving off their own light, which is a lifesaver since when their biggest optosperm whale is on the hunt, modern-day Leviathan disturbs glowing creatures like jellyfish and crustaceans who flash in response. Having eyes as big as their heads means the giant squid can detect and use those flashes to avoid becoming a corpse. But that also means that if you ever go swimming in the Giga Squid's area code, the flashes you'd create mean that while you might not see it, the same animal that does its own kind dirty would know exactly where you are. And honestly, there's only one thing that could be worse than getting stalked by a school bus-sized headfoot. There's another squid with hunting tactics so spiritually upsetting, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and use a lifeline.
The Humboldt squid, also known as the Red Devil. I'm Lindsay, by the way. Humboldt squid are found in the eastern Pacific Ocean, typically between 600 to 2,300 feet below the surface of the ocean. And their nickname comes from the way they use their pigment cells called chromatophores to communicate. You're probably familiar with chromatophores videos of different cephalopods using them to change color, blending into their surroundings, and even dreaming. And Humboldt squid notably use them to turn bright red when they're aggravated, hence the nickname Red Devil. It's very on brand. They're also extremely predatory and have been known to act aggressively towards scuba divers on rare occasion, which becomes a bit more terrifying when I tell you that they can get 8 feet long and 100 pounds. They might be thinking, Lindsay, that is not that big. What about the giant squid and the colossal squid that can both get to like 40 feet long? Well, I haven't told you the best part yet. The Humboldt squid is known to live and hunt in groups of up to 10. No, up to 100?
What?
1,000? What? Yes, in groups of over 1,000.
Oh, you're done.
1,000 squid. That's about 990 too many if you ask me. While hunting these groups, they use their chromatophores to communicate with each other.
Bro, I will get an actual heart attack.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm diving, I see around me. No, I'm gonna be...
Bro, you're
Dad,
done.
bro.
You're done. You're literally done.
Bro, I'm going to disconnect, bro. Done.
Groups, they use their chromatophores to communicate with each other, coordinating movements and attacks, allowing them to take down larger prey, dragging them into the depths until they go unconscious. Scientists have identified some of these communication patterns, as you can see in this little chart, but still don't know exactly what any of them mean. But regardless, that sounds like one of the worst ways to be unalived in the ocean. Oh wait, this isn't a TikTok collaboration. That sounds like one of the worst ways to die in the ocean.
Whether it's being confronted by a Humboldt block party or squaring up with a live-action Kraken, there are many aspects of the deep sea that
Why is he doing that?
I don't know.
Look, why is he there?
I don't know. He's trying to die.
Nah, bro.
There are many aspects of the deep sea that end up with you putting your therapist up a tax bracket. And a lot of that's because of this cute little thing known as deep sea gigantism. The idea that the cold temperature, the dissolved oxygen, and the lack of pressure from predators allow some animals to escalate to the biggest and most terrifying spider crab. 12 feet across from claw to claw and weigh as much as a human toddler. Only difference in a giant spider crab is a giant crab spider. This is an Antarctic sea spider, a dinner plate-sized demon spawn that sucks out of its prey through its proboscis. Now, technically, they're not actual spiders.
That's an alien,
but
bro.
also, I imagine most people watching technically don't give a f, especially since this one looks like it identifies as a face hugger. Then there's a giant
does.
which is essentially an aquatic cockroach big enough to be cradled like a baby. No clue why you would though.
Whoa!
For a truly super-sized animal crossing, the oarfish should be on your list. The giant oarfish can grow to well over 30 feet long, and there have even been claims with those in the neighborhood
like a centipede from the side. Like
back in the day when we had stories about sea monsters, they weren't lying. They just didn't have all the names yet. Also, if you caught that pun earlier, we're friends now. But with deep sea gigantism and the endless expanse of ocean acting as a canvas for Shaitan to practice his art, if you dive deep enough, there be monsters. For example, this isn't an animal. It's a group of animals joined together in something like a hive mind. So we're not talking about it. We're talking about them. And Sophonophores like this
he's using
like the Portuguese man of war armed with venom to ensure that the excruciating experience of meeting one is permanently etched into your brain. And there's a Priodubia, a giant Sophonophore that can flex a total length of up to 160 feet. Even though it's a collective group of tiny animals, its length could humble a blue whale, making it technically the longest creature on the planet.
Oh my God!
Best a modest second, since the bootlace ribbon worm has been reported to reach 180 feet in length.
What?
It's toxic because the ocean, and of course it is,
like a parasite.
is potent enough to life deprive the crabs it likes to eat. Like I said, whether it's Lucifer's tapeworm or a flying spaghetti creature, there be monsters. And it gets so much worse than a giant worm. Because as terrifying as the deep sea is, it's also nasty. And there might not be anything more repulsive than the hagfish. This Lugi linguini feeds on the rotting corpses and carcasses that sink down into its domain. And since they don't have any actual teeth, the graveyard guppy feeds by sliding into an opening and eating the decomposing body from the inside out.
Like a virus
kind of eats like a casket.
Some Resident Evil shit.
Itself. Again, you're giving the ocean too much credit. As self-defense, the hagfish will sweat buckets of slime, a phlegm jacket that's thick enough to clog the gills of any.
What? He said, "I'm good."
Yeah, he's done.
To the point where this is the end game of a truck transporting hagfish on the highway, crashing. Now, you've definitely seen this picture before, but have you ever stopped and asked yourself what they were doing there in the first place? You remember how I said nothing that eats like a hagfish should ever have to worry about getting eaten? Well, simple. For these hagfish, their final destination were dinner plates in Asian countries such as South Korea, where they're considered a delicacy. Now, I'm not one to judge other cultures, but we seem to have a habit of constantly trying to eat all the things nature went out of its way to tell us not to. One thing you won't see as a main course is something ironically named after a fruit. The sea cucumber is like the hagfish in that its meal prep consists of all the things we normally flush, burn, or bury. All the soul evacuated bodies that sink down to the ocean floor instantly get put on the cucumber's grocery list. It's a literal bottom feeder, and I mean that since they'll also make a meal out of feces. But like the vultures, if Thanos had beef with sea cucumbers,
but you see how like
infinitely more disgusting play.
Every video from him that we watch or whatever, when it comes to the earth and animals and everything, it's crazy how Mother Nature, everything's kind of like in sync.
Yes, everything's connected.
So these are the bottom feeders or whatever. They eat the poop and. That's bro. That's dope. And then even the other one with that ant video that like blew my mind, bro. That was insane.
But like with vultures, if Thanos had beef with sea cucumbers, the world would become an infinitely more disgusting place.
Like everything has a purpose. That's not the way
sea cucumbers contribute to society. They're also often used as a protective bunker for fish, and well, let's just say they break into the back door.
Hey,
they in there, bro.
It gets worse when a pearlfish decides to have a playdate right next to its prostate. I don't even know if they have a prostate, but you get what I mean. If that makes you uncomfortable, here's an ad to give you time to mentally prepare for what's next. This adorable little guy is known as a basket star. It's a type of brittle star and an echinoderm, which actually makes it a close cousin of the sea cucumber. If you ever learned about fractals in geometry, then that's why the repeating pattern of branching arms might look familiar. It's also why the US is really wasting.
I'm not touching that.
Why would you touch that?
The real ET is happening right here. Because of the unsightly way basket stars get from A to B, they've also earned the nickname sea snakes. I feel itchy all of a sudden.
Snake stars.
However, even though it looks like something Lucifer would use to pleasure himself, they eat mostly zooplankton and are pretty much harmless for the most part. And honestly, that pretty much describes 80% of the nonsense in the deep sea, only really harmful to your peace of mind. Like take the frilled shark. Having been around for 80-something million years, not only is the frilled shark a living fossil, it's likely nature's rough draft beta version of sharks today. Also, don't let this video fool you. They can grow to a respectable 6 feet long. Also, they can be pregnant for 3.5 years, which honestly makes about as much sense as everything else down there. And in terms of your mental health, the frilled shark is pretty harmless until you look them in the mouth. The devil's fleshlight has hundreds of needle-like teeth to ensure that anything that gets caught in there doesn't get a second chance.
Even like inside.
And for a shark that's been around long enough to have attended Saturn's wedding, I don't know why, but every picture of them looks like they're struggling with their own existence. Like I said though, they're not a threat to humans. But like I also said, therapy ain't cheap, so if you don't want to end up on a couch, don't look a frilled shark in the mouth. Yeah, you'd be surprised at just how many types of sharks you'll find in the same neighborhood SpongeBob got stranded in that one time. Sharks that are somehow able to use stealth to just spawn and inhale sustenance like a water Kirby. Speaking of sleepers, in 2015, a Pacific sleeper was recorded in the Solomons Island. Why is that important? Well, its home address was right under an active volcano, proving that if any animal had plot armor, it'd be sharks. Then you have the ghost shark, which, okay, yeah, you got me, is an actual shark. It's a close cousin known as a chimera.
It looked like a shark slash fish slash
kind of remind me of the dry bones fish from Mario. The ghost shark doesn't even have the teeth you'd expect it to have, but instead they have plates that they use to grind up food. But since nature's constantly overcompensating, chimeras do have venomous spines that are harmful to more than just your mental well-being. But by far the weirdest thing about them, chimeras have a tenaculum on their forehead. A tenaculum is a reproductive organ, meaning this fish has a
pee-pee on his
forehead. Venom and that aside, this fish fresh out of Tim Burton's Wet Dream is actually pretty cool looking. And I'm just gonna say, I think they're cute. And I'm perfectly fine with standing on that hill alone. However, I don't think you'll find a single soul
maybe cool.
Yeah, they don't look that bad.
Feast your eyes on the goblin shark.
Oh, hell no.
Fish with a mouth that snaps like nobody's business. They're rarely seen, but are known to live in oceans all around the world, at depths of up to 4,200 feet below the surface of the ocean. They're estimated to get to 18 feet long, which is really big for a deep sea shark. You might have seen videos online of their jaws just...
He blocked the whole
slingshot feeding. I don't even know for. Their upper and lower jaws plunge forward away from the skull, engulfing their prey. I know it probably seems ridiculous and almost alien, but it's actually not uncommon. Most fishes have jaws that aren't entirely attached. One might argue that the goblin shark is the most extreme example of this look, until you see a video of the sling jaw wracks, who use suction feeding to snatch up their prey. Goblin sharks have a particular
somebody's like, give me that fish.
Pores all over it to help them locate their prey, like squid, fish, and crustaceans. And I am personally grateful I am not a squid, fish, or crustacean.
Yeah, God has the right word for the only shark in the world for this seeding. But you got it.
What even is that? He like, what's that sound effect? You know, he didn't gawk him. He like.
Oh God, on some shit.
That boy homed him, bro. What the hell, bro?
Right word for the only shark in the world for receiving sunlight. But you gotta admit, eating your own jaw to catch calories is pretty metal. And you're gonna find that a lot of the creatures rolling in the deep have evolved some of the most creative ways.
That's what I'm saying, like divers is
probably
crazy.
The most popular is the fish that nearly turned Nemo into an
anglerfish. An
anglerfish has two defining personality traits, and one of them is that fishing roar hanging right in front of those life-canceling jaws. That light actually comes from bioluminescent bacteria shacking up inside a modified fin. So when a bite-sized light work swims up to the light thinking it just cops some easy protein, the angler ensures that some fish out there never sees its father again. The other thing anglerfish got clout for is their mating habits. I'm not gonna get into it, just know that if you're anything like
nasty,
you're gonna need both a divorce and a restraining order. And you know what? Intensive therapy on top of that, extra friggin' viciously. Nemo's paralysis demon isn't the only deep-sea creature to weaponize light. This distinguished gentleman is known as a stoplight loosejaw, and his defining trait is that it uses a red light to hunt, which turns out to be a massive cheat code, since the longer the wavelength of a color, the less energy that wavelength has, and the faster it gets absorbed by water. And since the color red has the longest wavelength out of all of them, it's the first one to get absorbed. This is why red light can't reach the deep sea, and the animals living in the abyss that are red actually appear black, which makes it easier for them to hide from predatory smoke. But with a stoplight using red as a searchlight, it's pretty much cracked at this version of hide and seek. Not to mention, since most of the life down there can't even see red, it's able to catch bodies while also not giving up its location to predators or the prey it passes.
He's like a stealth
This fish really evolved a whole wall hack and a real-life invisibility.
Invisibility.
And that freakish overbite ensures that once prey is found, it's lost. Forever. But why hunt prey when you could just sit and wait for it to come to you? That's the entire playbook for the deep sea lizardfish. Just look at that smile. You know he's on nefarious time.
Bro, he looked
and at over 2 feet long, they earned the title of being one of the premier apex predators of the deep sea. As a habitual camper, they lie waiting for light to pass them by before they lunge and use hypodermic needles for teeth to cancel it. And with apex standing for anyone providing smoke gets extinguished, lizardfish don't hesitate to turn their own kind into coughing fodder. And with the whole point of those teeth being to hold struggling, panicking brain in place, they make sure they don't live long enough to learn from their mistake. But as much of a therapy bill this Gecko Guppy's mugshot might be, it might not even be the worst headshot in the ocean. Not as long as this. Waste the oxygen trying to defend this.
I would. Many say this is the fish only your mother could love. Well, then maybe he is my son. This is the deep sea telescope fish, one of the most stunning creatures of the deep tropical ocean. They're found at a depth of about 1,600 to 6,600 feet below the surface of the ocean. I can't say that normally. Surface of the ocean. And like you'll see if you look up photos of them online, they are often photographed at unfortunate angles that don't do them any justice. They orient themselves upwards, hanging out vertically in the water column, as they use their specially adapted eyes to hunt for the silhouettes of their prey. There are two species of telescope fish, Gigantura indica and Gigantura chuni. Don't be fooled by their genus name, which makes them sound like they're gigantic. That is not the case at all. Indica only gets to about 8 inches long and chuni a measly 6. They are just little guys. Gigantura actually translates to big tail, specifically. They are about
she said 6 inches is a little guy?
It's a bit bigger than their own size. A series of skeletal reductions that allow for more room to just fold it in half. That's right. They are expert folders. In 1925, scientists found a 5.5-inch long viperfish inside the stomach of a 3-inch long telescope fish. They described it as neatly folded, an incredible quality possessed by the lovely telescope fish.
Yeah, I'm sure if we gave it Blistex and a hairline restoration surgery, he'd be cute, but that's just me. That being said, there's a lot of pretty dope things just chilling in the deep. Take the barrel-eyed fish.
Oh yeah! You can see like its actual brain or whatever.
Directly above it, thanks to those 2 green gummy-looking orbs that are actually its eyes.
Oh, what?
Ultra-rare giant phantom jellyfish.
That's what's crazy.
Arms that makes this ET understudy the length of a whale shark. And when it's only been seen like 100 times in the history of mankind, so the fact that you're watching this right now is kind of wild.
Like
then you have the deep-sea Dumbo octopus that copes with stress by turning itself into a ball to discourage predators from eating it. And if this right here looks familiar,
what the?
Ooh, that's his stuff.
The vampire squid does the inverse, as they'll turn themselves inside out and into their own personal panic room whenever they're pressed by a possible predator.
Oh.
And how about
you can't for you?
Take everything I said about sea cucumbers and forget it for a second, because honestly, they're just really cute in a way I can't fully explain. But it's not hard to see what makes this squid instant serotonin. Rosia pacifica, or the stubby squid, is actually more like a cuttlefish. It's also a cuddly fish, and it's nature's apology letter for the sheer trauma it saturated the ocean with. It's actually real, and those arts and crafts looking eyes help it catch prey on a nocturnal schedule. It's also important as an environmental indicator, since scientists will often study their responses to changes in water pH and use that to determine how polluted the water is around them. Which you would think would earn this anime octopus the respect of the scientific community. Well, you'd be wrong. There's a video where some scientists found one, and let me just say, not even Hiroshima got roasted that hard. That's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you go ahead and drink water, hug your moms, go subscribe to Lindsay's channel, link will be in the description. Shout out to Lindsay for being
Titanium, bro.
And I'm gonna see y'all.
I get you with this, concussion.
You done.
It's like Davy Jones.
It looks like Googly Eye.
And they're violating him.
It looks so fake.
They do look kind of fake.
Everything just came before, just left it here.
It's like some little kid dropped their toy.
Yeah, I was about to say that. You ever seen the ones where you like,
yeah, you squeeze in the eyes.
Yeah. He is awesome. Ah, that's a good focus right there.
He is awesome. But you were just violating him, bro.
It's a...
Do something.
Bruh. Stick your hand in there.
Yeah. Put your body in this. Right? Put your toe in this. What happened, bro?
Do something.
He gonna go your toe. Bro, that was amazing.
That was fire.
That's,
you know
see, I like, bro.
Yeah.
Once y'all put us onto Casual Geographic, this was like maybe years.
Wow.
Basement era.
Every video has been bangers.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
None of the videos was like boring and anything. It was a straight bangers.
Exactly. That was beautiful, bro. Like I said, I love learning about the ocean, but you will not see me in the ocean.
Oh yeah, you ain't see me deep in the ocean.
Exactly.
I say, like, you know.
Even when I'm like at the beach over here in the New York.
Oh yeah, you can't see nothing.
You can't see nothing. Like, it's kind of nasty. So I'm always like, damn, this wave is coming. Why if like a shark is behind it, like with its mouth open?
Oh god.
I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go that deep in, bro.
I feel that. I like feel like I'm like, oh, get people up. I say, what fuck off, stupid.
Yeah, I already knocked them out. That was what's up.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You a hater, so.
Yeah, you a hater, bro. Stop hating. Like the video. Shout out to Casual. Shout out to Lindsay, it was?
Lindsay, yes.
Yeah, I already took the video off there.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah. See y'all next month. What? No uploaded. Goofy.